Guys, welcome to the house. It's still not finished, as you can see. We've still got flushing, painting, bench tops to do, but we are getting there. But it's a perfect opportunity to quickly record a nice little video of a rig making tutorial in here. Now, this is going to be a tutorial on perhaps my favorite drone fishing rig. Okay, I love this drone fishing rig for the main purpose of it's pretty snag resistant. Now, it's a rig that you guys are all too familiar with, which is the Pulley rig. However, this does have some slight modifications to make it just that little bit better for less snags and less rays. That's right, guys, less dirty stingrays. Right, why do we use a Pulley rig quickly for drone fishing? We're not going to babble on about this for too long, but it's purely because a lot of guys on their standard paternoster rig, they love running big, long sinker lines. Now, when that sinker line's coming in over some exposed reef, or not exposed reef, but shallow reefs and so forth, that gets caught up a lot. So I hear a lot of guys saying, well, you've got to run light sinker lines. But who likes losing that many grapnel sinkers? Not me. That's why the Pulley rig is good, because as you retrieve the Pulley rig, the sinker is right at the forefront of the swivel that's getting pulled, where the fish is what's on that big long leader traveling down to the bottom there, which means you're snag resistant the whole way in. Anyway, let's get to building this rig. What do we need? We need some good quality leader. My favourite for this is 60-pound vanish. Now, as I said, I can fish lighter on this stuff because I don't have to worry about reef and all that. We need some good crane swivels, which is that there. I don't know why we've got a shadow. Why do we have a shadow? But anyway, they're the harbour cranes. You need, this is one of the more important parts, a little tiny float. Now, I got these from BCF. They're a little shore catch thing. You pull that out, and as you can see, you got a hole running straight through the centre. You're going to need your favourite circle hooks. I like circle hooks because they do everything for you. These, in this case, are the Owner circle inlines. Now, I use Owner for one particular reason. Completely Japanese made and completely Japanese owned. Not like some of the other big brands, which Japanese materials, but made in China. I prefer to always use the most premium hook I can because that's what hooks the fish every time. We're going to need 2 of these little barrel swivels. And then, of course, some beads as well, because beads are very handy. Right, we're going to start here by just tying the hook trace, okay? Now, the hook trace doesn't need to be long on this. I mean, probably drone rigs notoriously are a lot longer because the longer the rig is, the less movement you're going to have in your drone, okay? So the longer your rig, the less movement you have in your drone when that bait is swishing side to side and doing all sorts of funny things. So that's something to keep in mind, and that's why a lot of guys keep their drone rigs super long. So let's start off with just tying your hooks on. Now, the way I tie my hooks on here is just a uni knot on the bottom, followed by, we snell the second one on, and it just sits really nice. Now, I'm sorry if I'm talking fast, guys, but no one likes a 15-minute rig tying tutorial. Use the handle of your scissors there, guys, to pull the knots up, because... and plenty of lubrication. We always cover lube. Yeah, you use your sinker, use your scissor handles, because what that does is that just means you're not putting hooks in your fingers, which is pretty bloody important. Now, depending on the bait is how far apart you're going to put your snells. At the moment, I'm fishing pretty much cube mullet, so I don't need my snells too far apart. But the good thing with using this Berkeley Vanish fluorocarbon is the fact that even if I do have a bit of excess line hanging out, the fish don't generally see it, which is good. Now, lubing up your snell, this will be a debatable one, isn't so important. The reason it's not so important is because there's no real friction as it's looping itself around the shank of that hook. Once again, pull it tight. There it is. And then always, guys, always go back up through the back of the hook there. Like that. Okay. And what you can see there, guys, is we have got a snell. We are on the Osmo, guys, so I understand it's probably going to be a bit harder to see some of the more macro stuff. But that's what it is. We've got our snell there down to, I don't know, so that's 1.5 meters worth of leader. Now, this is where old mate float comes in. Pull the centerpiece out. You can use that or not. That's up to you. Now, what I like to do, and once again, this is a controversial one, is which way does the tapered float go? Does the tapered float go big end down to the hook, small end down to the hook? Now, I personally like having the big end against the hook because when you retrieve, okay, it's coming through the water a little bit slimline. That's when I'm using bigger floats. However, this is a tiny little float, so I do put small end down just in case it tries to mess around with the hook up. Okay, now with this little stick here, keep in mind you can still trim it like that. Just get a small bit off, and then you work out where you want your float and you just jam it in. Okay, that's a bit too fine there. Just down she goes, jam it in, and you can cut both of those ends off if you want. And this is where the rig becomes stingray proof, because what happens is this float now is going to float your bait right up off the bottom, and stingrays are going to be far less inclined to want to swim up 1.5 meters to get a bait when they could have a bait that's perfectly on the bottom. Now, I'm not saying it's stingray proof, but it's certainly a great step in the right direction to cut down those stingray captures. Next, what we're going to do, we're just tying straight onto the barrel. You guys know this. It's just the pulley rig. If you want to see any of the other pulley rig videos, they're on the channel pretty much everywhere you look, because I fish these rigs a lot. They are definitely by far my favourite. Okay. Bang. Okay, so there we are. Now what we're going to do is get some more leader. Now I'm with this 1, 2, 3 gives me roughly, I don't know, 5 or 6 meters of line there. Okay, because that, you know, I like having that longer rig. Okay, because as I said, it eliminates a heck of a lot of that swaying, which is what we want. Straight through there, just tying on the line onto that existing barrel swivel that we've already got, or crane swivel, or whatever you want to use. Lots of lube. Don't use your teeth, because you will end up wanting to need teeth later on in life. Bang. Okay. So then what we're going to do, we need to get our beads, which are floating all over my table now. Bead 1 on. We're just threading it on. Second crane swivel, thread it on, because that's obviously what you're going to tie your line to. And then second bead. Now, I know I mentioned crane swivels. Tri-cranes. This is why. If you really wanted to run a tri-crane on that, you can run that instead of that crane swivel. The good thing with running that tri-crane on is if you like running your release line or your tether line that connects onto the drone straight off your rig, the tri-crane enables you to do that. So you just thread the tri-crane on exactly the same as what we've done here. One end then goes to your main line, other goes to your tether line or your dropper loop or whatever you want to call it. And that's how you're going to do it. For the sake of this one, we're just going to use the normal crane swivel. Then from here, I'm going to reach forward because I forgot something. Into my box of goodies, which is loaded full of owner gear. This is what we want. Now this is an Imps clip, okay? I'm going to see if I can show you this. That's one part of the Imps clip there. This is the second part of the Imps clip here. Now the whole idea of the Imps clip, okay guys, is simply to act as a release aid. Now these work very, very well. So what we got to do, we just thread him on like this. Okay, we got it together. So this is your Imps clip here now, as you can see. That there is going to go onto your dingle dangle, or it's going to go onto your hook or whatever you want. So when we're flying this bait out, it's flying as one cylindrical rig, like one big long rig, as we know with the pulley. When this hits the water, this little flap here, I'm really sorry about the lack of macro. Let's see if I can hold it better. So this little flap here, he hits the water, he goes like that, and as you can see, the hook releases. Now, I reckon you could probably find, the best place to find these might be somewhere like Getaway Outdoors Belcata, potentially. I reckon might be your best bet. And as you can see here, to put your sinker on, you've got that little bit, so hard to show you, this little bit here. Your sinker just slides on as per normal. So we tie this onto here. And there's your clip on the line right there. So just to show you how it works is your sinker will be hanging off the bottom here. Your hook goes into that little piece there, like that, if you can see. And as that hits the water, that kicks up, hook comes off. That's simple. And this is how we're able to fly a drone bait out as one beautiful premium slick rig. And that stops the bait from whirling around like a helicopter the whole way out. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are going to say is, oh yeah, but now we can only run, you know, one snell and blah, blah, blah. And if you ghost cotton this stuff up, especially with like the bottom meat thread and so forth, then this here, one bait is enough. You'll get your snapper every time. There won't be any issues and you'll have a great time. The only thing I need to add to this, guys, is remember you need to add that dropper loop on, which is what I've mentioned with that tri-crane. Or the other way to do it is, I mean, a lot of the time I will just tie a dropper loop onto the end of that crane swivel as well, straight off the top. And you want to make that probably a couple of meters. I reckon 2 meters is good. So all in all, you're probably going to have close to 7 meters of rig dangling below the drone, which is absolutely perfect to eliminate that sway. It enables drones with less capacity, like what I use, the DJI Mavic Pro. It enables me to run, in slightly heavier winds because there's less sway on the bait. I mean, sure, this isn't so important on the Copters and the Swell Pros and so forth, which have got like 3 kilo lifting capacity. But yeah, this is a fantastic rig, as I said, to run on any drone, keep the stingrays away, keep the sway down, and catch you an absolute ton of fish. Right, guys, so there's a 10-minute odd tutorial on how to tie the perfect drone rig. You make these the night before you go, and you need to make 1 or 2, unlike the Paternoster styles where you might need to have 4 or 5 handy because you snag them up so often. And this will get you out of trouble and catch you a ton of fish. Right, guys, hope this rig tutorial was pretty good. Coming to you from the house. We'll see you on the next episode. Catch you later.